How much weight should a hi-fi reviewer's recommendation carry? Depends on the reviewer, of course. Could be a hit or a miss. But what if that comes from a reputed musician, one such as the renowned jazz pianist Herbie Hancock? His opinion of chord amplification used in his studio and home should be taken seriously. I've read that Herbie Hancock once said, I quote, "Once you've heard chord amplifiers, man, you are screwed." And the story goes that he still calls Chord to let them know how pleased he is with the sound. And it's not just him. Many renowned studios around the world use amps from Chord Electronics. Abbey Road, Decca, EMI, Quad, Lucasfilm, to name a few. The Royal Opera House is supposed to have over 200 amps from Chord Electronics. So how's that for a testament? In this video, I discuss the Chord Electronics flagship Ultima Integrated Amplifier. Let's talk some details on its build quality and its sonic performance in my hi-fi system. Thanks my friends at No Noise Hi-Fi for letting me borrow this amplifier for about a week. This is not a paid review, and this is my unbiased opinion of the amplifier's performance in my hi-fi system. The Ultima Integrated is essentially Chord's flagship Ultima preamplifier and power amplifier combined in one chassis. So naturally, this integrated gets the dual feed-forward error correction technology and the ultra-high frequency switching power supplies from the top-of-the-line Ultima components. The build quality is stunning. The amp's housing is precision machined from solid aircraft-grade aluminum. The amp's footers not only look beautiful, but provide superior isolation from vibrations reaching the excellently engineered circuitry and the carefully chosen components inside. The amplifier is still a Class AB design. It uses many smaller, very high quality capacitors instead of fewer but large capacitors, as Chord believes that smaller, higher quality caps are able to respond faster to changing electrical loads better than larger capacitors can. This is one of the many aspects of the Ultima's engineering that enables the amplifier to better control larger drivers with inherently larger mass so as to make them stop and start precisely per the demands of the incoming signal. The power output is specified at 125 watts at 8 ohms. No 4 ohm rating is specified, but I did use this amp with speakers that dip down to below 4 ohms. And more of that in the sound quality section of this video. The amplifier's footprint is 19 inches wide by about 15 inches deep, roughly 5.5 to 6 inches tall. It weighs about 33 pounds. It has 4 inputs, 3 unbalanced, 1 balanced XLR, and a balanced XLR AV bypass unit for integration into AV systems. It also has 1 balanced pre-out. The finishes available are black or silver. This black finish and the lighting on the plate and the glow of lights above the unit and even the light it throws underneath is really beautiful. The retail MSRP is $11,250 USD at this time. A little bit about my system. My analog source is a Riga Planar 10 turntable with sometimes a Koetsu Black or a Shelter 901 moving coil. Phono stage is a Manley Chinook. I've used 2 sets of speakers to evaluate the Ultima Integrated. My reference speaker pair is the 4Pi, which is a constant directivity design from the Pi speakers lineup. This is a high efficiency, constant directivity 2-way with a horn-loaded compression driver and a 15-inch woofer. The speakers are made in the US and sold internet direct only. A fully upgraded version of the 4Pi will cost you about $3K USD each. With the 4-pi speakers, I also use SVS SB16 Ultra subwoofers to augment the bass. I use them as flanking subs, one for each channel. The other speaker set I used for this evaluation is my Vienna Acoustics Mozart Grand Symphony Editions. These are rated at 4 ohm impedance. Now that's a nominal rating, which means they go well below 4 ohms, and it really takes a gutsy, well-designed, high current amp to control the bottom end at high volumes in my large, over 10,000 cubic foot listening space. They are made in Austria. Before I actually start talking album examples, I want to briefly state what occurred to me within a few minutes of listening to this amplifier. The first thought that crossed my mind was, oh man, I must have this. And I found myself working out schemes on how to afford this amp. And the sonic virtues that presented themselves in those first few minutes can make a very long list. But to cut to the chase, the sense of realism from vocals, the sense of space and instrument textures was very captivating. This album is called Stripped by the Rolling Stones. Mind you, there is also an album called Totally Stripped. That's not it. This album is just called Stripped. This is a live double album. Excellent album to showcase live dynamics, vocals, instrument textures, and ambience retrieval of the recording or performance venue. Listening to tracks like Wild Horses or Anjay on this album, Mick Jagger's vocals are reproduced with spooky realism, as is the electric and acoustic guitar strings. From the percussion section, you get to feel the snap and attack of the snare drum and the kick drum in your chest, and you also get to hear the textures, the shimmer and decay from the hi-hats and cymbals. Speaking of excellent recordings that can bring realism of guitar strings to your listening room, this album by Barney Kessel is one such record. Summertime in Montreux. This is also a live recording. The Ultima's reproduction of Kessel's guitar, the richness of the tone combined with the startling dynamics drew me in and had me shaking my head in disbelief at what I was hearing. Next up are some examples of how Ultima fares with piano music, with solo piano music especially, as it is notoriously hard to capture and reproduce the instrument's full grandeur. This album is Nojima Plays Liszt. This is a reference master cut half-speed recording. Listening to the track called La Campanella via the Ultima is mesmerizing. The speed and articulation of Nojima's technique is clearly reproduced for one to admire. The depth and decay of the lowest registers and the rapid playing of the higher notes being almost played simultaneously is captured really well in this record. And the Ultima showcased all that tonal magnificence, articulation, and realism in my system. This is the best I've heard this solo piano album in my system. This next album is called Moon Rapping by Jack McDuff. And this album showcases the splendor of well-recorded organ and voices and percussion. Via the Ultima, the extension of the organ is deep and can pressurize my large, over 10,000 cubic feet space really well. Besides the low frequency extension, I felt there is also this detail of tone of the organ and percussion that's really well reproduced. The song Obligato has this bluesy female vocalizing that is very palpable, and it's located in a precise location deep in the soundstage. I have had my 4-pi speakers for nearly 14 years now. I have owned many high-end amps from brands like Audio Research, Manley Labs, Luxman, to name a few. And those amps made my speakers sound great. But I believe this Ultima Integrated showed me really what my 4-pis are actually capable of. The realism, and as a result, the emotions they can make me feel when listening to my music. Referring back to that statement I mentioned about Herbie Hancock made about Chord amps. Yes, I've listened to the Chord Ultima for a week and now I'm screwed. Sadly for me, this unit will have to go back to no noise hi-fi in a few days. So if you're in Michigan or Ohio, stop by into the store and listen yourself if you're in the market for this price range. Here's a short clip of no noise, after which I still want to mention a few important things you should know about this amp's functionality. I have to mention the awesome remote control. Solid aluminum and superb functionality. Almost omnidirectional if you're in the same room, and very precise volume control. The Ultima Integrated was also dead silent with the 98 decibel sensitivity 4-pi speakers. No hiss whatsoever with the tweeter, with the volume knob turned up way high. The Ultima also made me realize the true controlled low frequency potential of my Vienna Acoustics Mozart Grand Symphony Edition speakers. I never imagined they could produce such low and controlled bass in such a large room. And the amplifier never ran overly hot, just barely warm to the touch. If you've come this far, please do consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Also, share this video to help me reach a like-minded audience. Hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you get to listen to some Chord Electronics as well. Thanks for watching.